with him. So he answered and said to his father, Lo, these many years I have been serving you. I have never transgressed your commandments at any time. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I may make merry with my friends. But as soon as this son of yours came, who had devoured your livelihood with harlots, you killed the fatted calf for him. And he said to him, Son, you're always with me. All that I have is yours. And it was right that we should make merry and be glad. For your brother was dead and is alive again, was lost and is found. Luke 15:11 through 32. All right. Now, as we look at the text, of course, we have three main characters of the text. Who are they? Father, and then who else? The two sons. Okay? Now, what do we glean about the father? What do we see about maybe some notable aspects of him?
Compassionate.
Okay?
Concerned.
Yep.
Loving.
Compassionate, concerned, and loving.
Forgiving.
Forgiving. Okay. What else do you think?
Learn not to forgive.
You learn not to forgive.
Not to forgive. Because maybe I didn't hear the summer. The older son learned not to forgive.
Right.
He found what what would happen if he doesn't forgive.
Right. Right. The older son. Yeah, the older son was not going to be forgiving. Okay. What else?
I think that the father was faithful. He was faithful to his son's request, even though he may not have liked it.
Hmm?
He, acquiesced to his wishes, and never forgot about it.
Okay.
Compassion.
Okay. So he acquiesced to the son's request and never forgot about him. All right. Do you think he was fair with his sons? More than fair. That's true. That's true. All right. Now, I think that is the beginning of the end for the elder brother, because he thought this isn't fair. But we'll get there in a minute. Okay, what else do we see about the father? Anything else?
Well established.
Yeah.
Financially. Okay. What he did is he divided his property between the two sons after. In other words, he gave his son part of it, the portion that he felt he deserved for what he asked him for.
Hmm? Yeah.
And it still didn't hinder him from still taking care of his other brothers and all other stuff that he was taking care of after he left.
True. True. All right. He was well established. Took care of everything. Yeah, go ahead.
He prepared for an inheritance with the two boys.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So he prepared and inherits the two boys. Gets him into be a good steward. Generous. Yeah. Okay. Now, what do we notice about the younger brother? That's the prodigal son. If y'all want to have a extra insight to that one. What about the younger brother? Racy? Hasty.
Inexperienced.
Okay. Inexperienced. Selfish. Immature? Lost? Very lost? Okay. What was it, Rita? Self-centered? Okay. All right. Do you think, huh?
No direction,
No direction.
no direction.
No, yeah.
You just out there.
Yeah.
Trying to live.
Yeah. And it's interesting here that the younger brother is the one that chose to go, and he went to a far country. You know, he really wanted to get out. Now, let me think. I'm trying to think about what you said, Solon. So this one is about choice. Last one was about neglect. And the first parable was about what? What was it again? Yeah.
Well, he just wandered away, he didn't intend to do it.
Yeah, he wandered. Okay.
He wandered off.
Yeah. All right. So first one of Luke 15 was a wandering lost one. Second one was a negligent lost one. And now this one is the one that chose. Choice. All right.
Lost and knows the way home.
That's true. He knows way home. That's a good point. This one was lost but knows the way home. Yeah. Okay. What you got?
Well, he knew exactly zero without stewardship.
Yeah.
He
Blew it.
knew nothing. He was like someone who wins the lottery and a year later he's broke.
Sure. Sure.
He never had any money. He had comfort and was taken care of at home,
Hmm?
but he never managed anything, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And, okay. Well, what you got, Sydney? Oh. Define the word prodigal. Okay. Normally, a lot of translations use the word riotous. That might be inside the King James Version there. Prodigal is the idea of he's just kind of meandering around without any real sense of direction. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And that's the idea why some versions they put the word riotous, because when you riot inside of our day and age, it's not normally any kind of direction. This kind of anything is fair game. And so prodigal is another term in this sense that is very similar in that there's no real direction to purpose or life.
You know, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
A lot of us in here, we all have grown children, and some of our children are prodigals. We're praying that they will come back.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Anything else about the prodigal son? See, another way to look at this would be he's the free range son. And then the other one is the closed coop son. But anyway, what do we learn about the elder brother? What's his traits, personality that we can see from the text so far? What do y'all see?
He got the same, he gave both his sons. That's here.
Yeah. Okay.
He didn't have anything.
That's true.
You know, I was wondering too, I was one thought this too, is, you know, he got his inheritance and went away. When he comes back, and you know, it doesn't tell us whether when the father dies, if he gets another.
Oh, yeah.
portion.
Yeah. I mean, my understanding is that he's getting his inheritance early from verse 12. So my saying is, I think once you get it, that's kind of what you got. But that's how I understand it. Okay, what you got?
On the positive side, I want to say that the older brother was industrious. He was faithful to a certain extent. A selfish faithfulness to his father, but he stayed there. Every time we go somewhere else, he had some positive things about him.
Sure.
But his jealousy is what got the
Right,
envy, pride.
right. He was envious, prideful, but he was also industrious. Okay. Ted, have you given me? I know you had your hand raised.
Ray took my two questions.
Oh man. Yeah. All right. Anything else about the elder brother?
What
You got it.
responsibility. What did he do?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hey, you got Solon?
I think the older brother that stayed home, I think he had a resentful attitude. He stayed all right, and knows what the father told him to do, and worked hard and all that kind of stuff, but still, down deep, he kind of resented.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. You have resentment toward his younger brother?
We've got to apply this, if it's going to help us to read these things, we've got to apply them today, to everyday living today.
Yeah, definitely.
And we've seen this very thing happen in today's world.
He's right.
Yeah.
What's going on in work for the blood. Because that's what the older brother brings out. Because earlier when the dad kissed his son and killed him, got the servant to kill the fat calf. And right here in 29, that's the first thing the older son brings up when he's confronted his dad. But he has to say, look, these many years I've heard you never disobey your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends.
Mhm.
So he was offended by what his dad did for his brother.
Yeah.
And he took it personal.
He did. He was very personal. Yeah, he did have resentment.
He took it personal.
Yeah.
They're like, we can learn from that because we can be like that about things.
Oh, definitely. What you got, Ted?
I believe the older brother had obedience, but to a degree, it's kind of like how we do the offering where they say, don't give out of necessity or grudgingly. So maybe he had obedience, but a portion of it was like, hey, I'm doing it, but I don't have 100% of maybe the goodwill of why I'm doing it. You know, like I'm doing it, I'm kind of going through the motions, but I'm just doing it because I'm supposed to do it.
Mhm.
And I get reported out of the field, so maybe I'm not doing it 100% of that reason.
Yeah. Okay. So he wasn't 100%. Oh, sorry, Jack Crystal.
I think the older one wasn't seeing the bigger picture, and then the younger one got the picture, which is odd of me to say because you think the older one would have understood it, right? But that's not what was going on here. So the older one was just doing what they were told, basically, doing everything they needed to do, and they just automatically assumed that everything was going to fall at their feet at the end of the day. But there was actually a bigger picture as far as, the young one coming back, asking for forgiveness, basically, seeing why all the things his older brother does is so important and so essential. So he got the picture, because he got the picture, he was rewarded it. And I think the older one resented him for it, but at the same time, he still didn't understand why he's doing all these things and not being rewarded.
Sure.
He didn't really grasp the message.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Good.
The older brother was disingenuous,
Okay.
false accusations against his brother.
He did.
He says, "Who has devoured your livelihood?" Once you receive an inheritance, it becomes that your livelihood, not his father's livelihood,
True.
his livelihood. And
Yeah, and also, but how does he know that he went out with harlots?
the
Is it-
older brother was about the attention and the money. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
So, and the father will see what he was all about.
Oh, sure. 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 Okay. Anything else before we? I feel like we've covered pretty well. There are a few more things that I do want to bring up according to our text. Anything else? Okay, great. Well, that's one thing I think that is so wonderful about this congregation is how much wisdom is in the room. So I'm so very thankful that everyone here is so knowledgeable. Because sometimes, some churches I've been to, they really like the milk and they can't do the meat. And one time I said that in a Bible class, and the guy I mentioned that thought it was a literal statement. And then you really know where you're at. Woo. Okay, Hebrews 5. Let's walk through it again. But so I'm very thankful that y'all are not at that level. Okay, so as we go through the text here very briefly, obviously we have already gone through. Let's hit the highlights as we go really quick. Give me the portion of goods that falls to me. Also looking with inheritance. He divided to them his livelihood. Both had, I think, equal share. Because of the word divided. Not many days after, the younger brother gathered all together. They gave everything he had. Look at the word all. All. Greek where there is pos, everything. He's gone to his room, got cleaned out of his room, gone to his part of the house, wherever his stuff was at. Everything goes. I am leaving. All together. And he went on a far country. And there, in that far country, away from the security of his father, he wasted his possessions. That's an interesting phrase. Because instead of it being, you see the difference, how the first terminology was used with his livelihood. And now this is dealing with his possessions. So this has implied that maybe he had some gambling debt he was getting rid of. We don't know. This goes to the idea of possessions. Maybe he got into some deep water and he had to sell some stuff. Perhaps that could also be, I think, feasible here. I know of people that have sold vehicles to pay medical bills. I know people who have sold all kind of things to pay for, keep the house out of foreclosure and this kind of thing. So. Something along those lines. The other way, we know that he went out and he had some things of value to sell, to support himself, and yet he still wasted all that with his prodigal living. And then we look at the next section there. It says, but when he spent all, now it's back to the money side. It went livelihood, possessions, and now when he spent all of it, there he goes again. Everything he had with him, he's taking it all back. Now, there are some things that we don't know that he gave up. Okay, I don't think the guy here was completely destitute of like clothing. Okay, I think it's dealing with all of his possessions. I think I think the idea of spent all is that he has hit zero in his account. Okay? And he is struggling, trying to figure out, because he's away from the security of his father. He spent all that he had. He has no longer any other leverage to get himself out of his downfall in his pit. He is stuck. And so, because of his bad stewardship, mentioned a moment ago, because he wasted it, he spent it all. And so, what happens then is what throws him over the edge? A severe famine. So that implies to me that he couldn't get any work. And he couldn't go out and find anything because no one's hiring. Everything's at a standstill, and now I've got nothing. He's at a bad spot. Okay? So he can't do anything at all, and so he began to be in want as a result of his bad choices, and then nature takes a turn. He can't do anything about it. Now he's really stuck. And I feel like that's often what happens when things do seem to kind of go in the wrong direction, is that when one thing goes, other things that kind of begin to follow sometimes, and you may not really appreciate it. And, I know the old saying that, things happen in threes. Someone got sick, someone got into an accident, and someone hit someone's dog, whatever, you got sick, or then your wife, husband got sick, and then your kid got sick, and then you had medical bills, and then you had hospital issues, and you had insurance problems, and you had housing issues, and you had work issues because you're out of work, all kind of stuff builds up. So this case, it will be the famine that threw him over the edge. And it's interesting that that famine is a common problem that has always been an issue inside of our world and inside of the biblical times. That is the thing that throws people over the edge very easily. You may think about the difference here and what he could have done, which he could have saved up his money, put inside of investments, and really made himself really set up. Also, I guess to him being inexperienced, mentioned a moment ago, him being selfish, he didn't think about the big picture. And it's interesting because when you think about the famine of Egypt that threw the children of Israel out of Israel, and they came down to Goshen over in Egypt because of the famine that lasted for several years. And yet what happened there? Well, they had everything they wanted. They had food, they had shelter, they had water, they had all the amenities that they were looking for. And so they went to where it was safe for them. Now, in this situation, it seems as though he didn't leave that place just yet. He's going to try to find some work. He's got to try to figure this thing out on his own, away from the benefits of the seeing eyes and the caring hands of his daddy. He's going to try to figure this thing out by himself. Now, it seems as though the world is against him. So what do? Then he went and he joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields. He found a man that had money. Now, it's interesting here that apparently these fields, I think, may have had probably sheep. We know they had pigs around because to feed the swine, and then he would gladly have filled his stomach with the pods that the swine ate, and no one gave him anything. Interesting. No one helped him out. You kind of, I think people would know that he didn't have anything. You probably look at him and try and watch him after the day's over. And, being a hired servant, you are not allowed to stay on the property. You had to leave. Unless you were gifted, obviously some kind of accommodation. Obviously, from this text, it would seem as though he didn't even have that. So it seems to be that he was even homeless. He didn't have anything. No money, no home, no possessions. He's in a very insecure environment. He's now joined together. And if he is a Jew, which I think that he probably is, he is even committing things that are against his religion to try to make ends meet. How far would you go? And so obviously it's interesting here that so many people who live in sin and who live according to the world's desires, before they come to their senses, they have to spend everything. And sometimes it may even mean that you have to go even against what you don't want to do because you're so desperate to figure out something. I just gotta put my shoes on, keep on walking to find somewhere to go. I gotta figure out some way to get this thing fixed, even if that means I have to go against what I was taught and believed. And the Jews couldn't do anything with anything that had the hoofs. That was against the religion. And so, from the book of Leviticus. And so here he is with the swine. He's in a place where he shouldn't even be at. And he's even trying to get the swine's food. He's that hungry. Would you ever eat pig slop? Never. Hey, that's what I'm saying. But, I mean, if you're hungry enough, I was told a long time ago that hunger is the best seasoning. But I say that, and I want you to have stuff I would, I had roadkill too. I need, that's tough stuff. But it's chewy. Anyway, when you look at this thing, though, this man really is without anything. And so when you look at the general idea, who do we associate the younger brother with in a more of a realistic sense? So there are two major groups inside of the Bible. There are the Jews and the Gentiles. All right. Romans 1, verses 18 through 32. Very long section. We're not going to read all of it for time's sake. But the idea, and I'll give you the summarized version. The Gentiles denounced their Creator. The Gentiles, it says, did things that they, by their nature, should not have done, but yet that's what they did anyways. And it says that these things are without excuse. So that means that they knew better. There's no excuse for why they're doing this stuff. I know inside of the George DeHoff commentaries on this, it says that these guys, the Gentiles in Romans 1, 18 to 32, the equivalent would be that they had gone fishing for a long time and never caught anything. These guys are out here and kind of like the younger brother is right now, away from all this, and he is also without excuse. He knows better. Right? He's been gifted what was due to him. He knows where to go for security. He knows where to go to even keep his faith intact. And yet, what does he do? He still goes around for himself, living for himself, trying to make himself find some way I can get out of this bad problem. I'm going to figure this thing out. But can he do it on his own? Okay. So then, it says that he came to himself. Now, that's a funny phrase. If you came to yourself, where were you? Okay. So we know that the idea, and I know some versions here translate it as this, he came to his senses. Okay, so he came and he figured out, I'm really in a bad spot. And, there are some people that, because of life choices, from a job standpoint, have gotten into some very bad jobs. And, people who should not be involved in certain career paths. And it's interesting that, when you look at certain career issues, there's Michael. There he is. But welcome, Michael. Good to see you. All right. But anyway, so and some people, according to career paths, will go into bad things that they know if mom and dad found out about it, they'd be so ashamed of me. But it's good money there. Well, okay, but is it really worth the price of your soul? Well, at the point in time, they probably say, yeah, it is. I'm young and beautiful. I'll do it. But then No, then you have reality sets in. They say, I really shouldn't be here. So now what happens inside of our parable? So he came to his senses. Now what does the Bible say? He says, I'm going to figure this thing out. I'm going to figure out a way to ask for forgiveness. Right? That's what he says. He says that in Luke 15, verse number 17, how many of my father's hired servants? So that it seems that he has put himself, he's lessened himself from being a son. He's saying, essentially, I am now at the same level as my father's hired servants. Look at what they have, and look what I can have, because remember, he is also, in this situation, also a hired servant. That's interesting. Now, from the Gentile standpoint, we understand that they were viewed as Israel's hired servants. You know, it's always funny when you think about this, because when they have an economy, 1 minute, I'm going to get you. So inside of the Israel economy, we know that they could not work on Sabbaths and during certain feast days. How do you think they kept the economy moving? They hire their servants, man. Gentiles, good money. Okay, well, we'll hire these guys out. And then as I'm over here doing my thing, I'll make this other guy carry on my commerce and my shepherding and stuff. I'm going to make sure that they make sure I'm taken care of. I'm going to go out and I'm going to still worship and journey, whatever I'm required to do. Yeah, what you got?
Realize when he came to the city. Okay, he thought back on where he initially came from and realized that his father's servant was in a better condition he was in the same position, because the man that he went to gave him that job to watch his feed. But obviously, this man wasn't as fluent as his dad was, because he didn't have blood. So he sent him to watch his feed, and then the son was struggling so bad to where he was so hungry, he said, he would eat what the pigs had. And then he realized, I could have just as much from my dad if I could just be like one of his servants.
Yeah.
And at least I'll have that much versus what I have now. So he really saw where he put himself in. He does himself in a deep hole.
Yeah.
It was struggling real bad.
Right. Right.
And then he also came to the crossroads, because it wasn't no guarantee his dad was going to accept him like he did when he went.
That's true. That's very true.
See, he had a lot of things he was weighing out as he was going through all of this to do what he ended up doing in the first place, and then it just so happened to turn out good for him versus how it could have been went either way.
Hmm? Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Craig?
Probably have a little, I'm looking at Job 11, and he says, "If thou prepare thy heart, and stretch out thy hands towards him, if iniquity be in thy hand, put it way far away, and let not wickedness dwell in him. For then shalt thou lift up thy face without spot, yea, thou shalt be steadfast and shall not fear." The process he has to go through in his mind to get to that point where he's going.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what we do in repentance.
Yes. Yes, most definitely. And the very first attribute that is brought up by the Lord himself in his very first sermon, Matthew 5:3, blessed are the pure in heart. It begins with the heart has to be ready. If the heart ain't ready, nothing else really matters. So obviously he's getting his heart ready, as you said. And we know that it's interesting here that when you think about 1 Timothy 6, verse number 18, so it's been anything about it's the love of money that's root of all kinds of evil. And here he is, love of money. I'm going to take all that I can get, and look at all the evil that has done. Unfortunate soul. And so now here he is, and he's, as you mentioned, the fire servants have all his bread, enough and to spare, and not pierce hunger. You said he didn't have anything at all. It's interesting here that one of the attributes of the Gentiles, Ephesians 2, verses 11 through 12, is that they were aliens from God. Okay, that's phraseology. They were aliens from God and from the commonwealth of Israel. The Gentiles were ones who were away from the blessings of God. Now, in saying that, did the Gentile have blessings from God without the covenant?
Same ones we do.
Of course they did. Absolutely. Matthew 5, verse 44 even says, the rain falls on the just and on the unjust. We know from Romans 2, verse 4, that he gave everybody, all the world gets all the blessings of the world, but it's done out of respect for the idea that they will come to repentance. Why is God so good to me? Because God needs to get my life straightened up. Paul said in Peter 3, says God is not willing, some of the word wishing, that any should perish. But how many? All should come to where? Yeah, repentance. So God's going to be good to everybody. He is the giver of every good and perfect gift, James 1:17. And yet here, this, we'll see the man. What would be the man? Here this man is, having been given the world, and what do you do? Wasted all. All right. Gentiles, likewise, before Christ and the gospel of Christ, were given, and the Bible says a lot of times, that they're going to be grafted in, Romans 11. They are going to be, it was after the Gentiles coming in from Isaiah 2 that the new name was going to be given. Very important stuff. I mean, the Gentiles have always had the heart of God. Now, the Jews had a covenant, but again, the Old Testament was distinctly for what particular purpose? It's going to do what? The Jews, one job, really, at the end of the day, came down to one thing. That was to do what? Bring in Jesus. That's it. That's why they live. They are going to bring in Jesus, and Christ is going to save who? Everybody. Jew and Gentile. The gospel accounts are very replete with this. And you see the accounts of individuals like, for instance, the centurion at the very end of life, of Christ's life. He was the one that made the announcement, behold, this is who? The Son of God. That man, according to Roman law, just did absolute heresy. He committed what's called a damnable offense. He can have good death with this thing. And here he is, as a Gentile, as a Roman citizen, even as a centurion, man who has committed himself completely to Rome and to Caesar. They didn't come. So the gospel accounts of all these things beautifully that the Gentiles are ready, and they're coming in, and at the death of Christ, here they are. Now here's the younger brother, and all these things, and they're gone. How are we going to get back? Well, now if you are a Jew, you don't like to have the Gentiles come around. So the Gentiles are viewed in their minds as dirty dogs. I always think about, I know it's not quite the same, but I think because of the name calling. That's what I'm going here. Luke 18, 1 through 8, where you have two men inside the temple praying. The one was a Pharisee, the other one was a spectator. And man, the Pharisee stood up in the middle, was just puffed out. He said, I think I'm not like this man over here who's extortioner and heathen, all kind of names. He called him all names. And then he's essentially saying, look at me, how holy and self-righteous I am. I'm praying in a holy place. I am really doing great. But in that parable, who was given the, I guess the word grace, who was given God's grace in that parable? The publican, the tax collector, the one that they viewed as a dirty dog. How very interesting. I think the same kind of thing happening right here. I'm going to finish this week. My time is up. So next week we'll go into the elder brother, and I'll give you a clue. There's a lot of stuff here that you might think about how he had. He lived below his privileges. Okay. This week we'll finish up, and then we'll see how we go. Anyway, thank you for being in class. I appreciate it very much.